All right, I got a recording if you want to do a presentation.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to share that we've been in the OpenAgents general chat working on setting up a benchmark, getting familiar with SWE Bench. I forked OpenAgents, or I forked SWE Bench in the OpenAgents repo. I dropped the link into the repos channel there. Um, Me and Leonidas have been just kind of getting that set up. I pulled in the harness folder that Devin used into there. Kind of like sets up the infrastructure around the tests. The SWE bench is usually intended to be used by raw models. That's why all of the like numbers on their leaderboard so far are just like Claude or just basic models. And to get it to work with agents, Devin had to kind of like edit some things. So given that we're trying to beat Devin doing using the same harness that they use, makes sense. Um, So I am happy if anyone wants to kind of when they get ready to connect their agent in to be evaled. Hopefully we can use this or at least use this as a starting point. Made a little empty agents directory in there. It should be pretty self-explanatory how to connect your agent into what the test utils. There's a script in the harness folder that generates you a test spec with all the data that your agent would need to interact with the relevant repo. So you can probably figure out how to do that. And if people want to like build an actual agent, that's kind of the next thing that me and Leonidas are working on. Is like, can we just get a basic agent, like the most basic possible agent, built and benchmarked, and what is that benchmark? My prediction is that it should not be too difficult to beat the other models on the leaderboard that are just like Claude or GPT would have like I think the highest one is like a 4% score, and it would be really cool as just like a nice milestone, maybe announcement from our community if in the next week we can be like, hey, we also have beaten all of the other metrics on that leaderboard, even if it takes us, a little bit longer to beat Devin. Um, One other repo I want to draw your attention to, I'll post in the channel in a second here. There was a hackathon project about a year ago called Pierre Bot, all about kind of basically doing exactly what the SWE bench is aiming to measure, which is interacting with a GitHub repo and submitting a patch to close an issue or resolve make a PR. And this was open source for a while, but has been taken down. But I backed it up and I just open sourced that today. Um, it's got a bunch of utils for interacting with a like any GitHub repo. It basically like clones it down. It goes through and like will basically embed them all with these little like one sentence summaries, so it's easy to do kind of top K retrieval of the files that are most relevant to a given GitHub issue. And it uses they did a working demo of having this provide a good working PR. You can probably search on Twitter for the name of this PR bot to see the demo they did like a year ago. But they had it like give an actual comment on like a Carpathy issue or something like that. And they got this working well with just like Chat GPT 3.5. So imagine updating this now for Claude Opus and just us kind of putting our heads together as to what the correct algorithm should be. So I'm hoping that while other people kind of do more of the like gluing together big agent abstraction frameworks, there can be at least some of us that kind of race toward getting some basic agent posting some scores that we can benchmark and start to announce that hey, we actually have some numbers on the board. Um, yeah, happy to take any feedback or questions or other ideas people have. Uh, Say so. Yep, pretty much. Yeah, they got a pretty it's detailed pretty well in their repo what they have, but just different like patches and then tests that each thing has to pass or not. And one thing that I'd like to do is have because Devin posted up all of their passes and all of their failures. I'd like to get some kind of LLM analysis on what are the patterns that drove their passes and their failures. I was able to take the repo of all of their passes and failures and like dump it into Gemini and have it provide some pretty good analysis, I think, on one of the failures, although Gemini didn't have access to the original code base. So I think that just by kind of gluing together, via an LLM, Claude Opus or whatever, taking the original code that Devin tried to edit, seeing where they succeeded and where they failed, I'm gonna bet that there's a bunch that we can learn from that and improve upon. If they're using GPT-4 for everything, if we do nothing but kind of approximate the algorithm that they use and use Opus for that, I'm gonna guess that that's gonna get us at least a solid, second place benchmark that we can iterate on. I'll shut up for now. Feel free to contribute toward this in our OpenAgents general chat.
Yep, thank
Anyone
you.
else, feel free to come on the stage and say stuff.
Yep. Come on up if anybody else wants to present anything, but this is going to be a short meeting. We're going to try to keep it to one meeting a weekend for this like general overall meetings, but everyone can have their own separate meetings and their own chats and stuff. But if it want to know if anybody else wants to come up and speak, please let me know. If not, we'll just end it here. Well, but it looks like okay. It looks like nobody else. So we're gonna end it here. Thanks for stopping in. So next Saturday will be another. Oh wait. Oh, there's no one.
I always talk much, so I to myself maybe I can also say one or two more things. Yeah, maybe just generally, like for anyone that has noticed, I've posted some of the updates to the Mirko AI channel. We are generally ready on all the issues that we have on the high level to work on in the next 4 weeks. The sprint is like slowly but steadily starting. Generally, anyone can self-assign to the issues, and if there are any questions, feel free to reach out and just ask in the planning development channels. But Mirko AI is ready to be developed, and any open questions, just feel free to ask. Yeah. Maybe just to add on the activity in the Mirko AI team.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ray Myers, do you mind coming up to the stage? And I saw you posted some utils for SWE Bench. Can you give an update on that, if you mind?
Yes. Is it working?
Yep.
Great. There's the camera button. All right. So yeah, the Sweebench utils repo, which you can find in the repos channel, is just as I was trying to get some of the examples and go through just even can I solve one of these Sweebench cases by hand just to get an idea what it is. I just found it was very difficult to interact with, like, I can't copy and paste it out of Hugging Face because it won't preserve the line breaks. I have to download this Parquet file and interact with it and pull an example out. And so I figured it would just be easy to have a script that does it. That said, I haven't looked yet into the OpenAgents repo, and I know you're doing things already on the Sweebench data set. So if it's useful to have this independent utility, we can think about what more does it do. Like the next thing I was going to do with that is there's a command to check out a repo that's associated with a given example and go to that Git hash, basically tee you up to address one of the examples. If anyone feels like that's useful, let me know, or if you think it'd be better merged into something else. But that's called Sweebench utils. It's in the repos channel.
I think having an independent library of utils is great because other people could probably pull that into their project more easily. And also the Pierre bot thing that I just put in the repos channel has a bunch of utils that are kind of like a year old, and they did it in like a 3-day hackathon, but like probably some good stuff worth at least kind of studying the patterns that they did. But yeah, definitely keep going on the utils thing, and I'll take a look at that more closely.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely going to be made better by people saying, "Oh yeah, if only it were this." And even if you don't have a time to do it, feel free to drop mention, and maybe we'll see a need. We'll get.
Cool. Robert, did you want to say something?
I think Ray got at my question there. I joined a little bit late, so maybe I missed something, but I have like a first pass at an agent and a control loop for actually writing code and editing code. So I just wanted to understand the best way to get it plugged into the SWE benchmark, and it sounds like Ray has at least a first pass there.
So Ray's got kind of like some util libraries, and then the repo that I just dropped in repos, it's OpenAgents Inc. /SW bench. This is my fork of the actual bench with the more agent-focused harness taken straight from Devin, as well as an empty agents folder. So hopefully that one is the more appropriate for when you have an agent, that's the one you should connect into. But then the utils, I'll probably just try to pull the utils into that one. But this is one that I want to use as kind of the basis of if someone has an agent that's ready to be benchmarked, you can run it yourself using that repo, but I'm happy to just even pay for the compute. Just one data point. I ran the Claude 2 benchmark via SWE bench using the like demo example and the standard default data set of theirs. And it crapped out after 10% because Claude was giving me some weird like content error, but it cost $10 for 10%. So a full run of the benchmark with Claude 2 would cost $100. Probably we're going to want to use Opus for a bunch. So for a full benchmark, particularly if you've got an agent loop that's making multiple LLM calls each, I'm going to guess that it could get up to $300 to $1,000 per. So, obviously we want to be judicious about when we run the benchmarks. But I've got, a little bit of money. I'm happy to like pay for benchmarks for people once they've got agents that are ready to test. Because I'd like to hit this benchmark, get something on the board in the next week, ideally. Hit me up with any
Given
questions.
that cost, I wonder if it would make sense to kind of split the benchmark if we had a 10% benchmark of like the easiest tasks and a 10% of like a medium level tasks and a 10% of the hardest tasks. So we could run kind of cheap, just like a quick sense for how it's doing rather than having to run the full benchmark every time.
Yeah, makes sense. You can see even Devin, they only did like a percentage of the benchmark. So
Interesting. Yeah.
we'll tag team it.
Cool. And as a general interface, like give it a directory and a task, and it modifies the directory, and like some command decides if it passed or not.
Yeah, that's probably how it should be. I just hacked this morning, just setting up the basic framework. You can kind of see if you look in the harness folder demo, you can see an example of me like pulling in the data set and then passing it off just to an LLM. You would basically do the same thing. I'll drop the link in the repos channel again. You'd basically just use that data set thing to tee it up. And then instead of passing it to an LLM, you'll just pass it to an agent. So you can either pull that code into your own repo or create a folder in the agents folder and just put that there. We'll figure out. Feel free to just rearrange code however you need to. That's all from me. Any other comments, questions?
All right, if everyone's good, I guess
We can end it there.
Yeah, we can end it here. All right, have a good weekend, everybody. Yep, see you.
Yeah.